Ken Cooper is often called the father of aerobic fitness. Among what he has written is the well-known book, The Antioxidant Revolution. Well, in his latest book, Dr. Cooper writes about the link between spirituality, exercise, and nutrition. The book is called It's Better to Believe. And joining us this morning is Dr. Kenneth Cooper. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning, Jack.
Here you are, nearly 65 years old. You're in sensational shape, but most people will be interested to know that you weren't always that way.
Age 29, I weighed 40 pounds more than I weigh at the present time. I had exercised regularly in about 8 years. Went water skiing for the first time in many years. Had a cardiac arrhythmia to occur while exercising. I thought I was dying, having a heart attack. I wasn't, but they said, "Doc, you're in bad shape. Got to get back in shape." And that's now 36 years ago and 26,500 miles of running ago. I'm happy to be here today.
Tell us a little bit about the philosophy behind this book.
Better to believe. You know, one of our strongest things that we have is our beliefs, and it's one of the best motivational tools that we have. And we know that people that have strong beliefs are healthier. Maybe it's because they tend to don't smoke and perhaps control their alcohol. But the important thing I'm trying to point out in this book is it gives you motivation to continue with your program. Jack, the problem is so many people start exercise programs and don't keep them up. And fitness is a journey, not a destination. You've got to keep it up the rest of your life. So I'm trying in this book, for one thing, I'm trying to use spiritual beliefs as a means of motivating a person to continue their exercise program. But we're commanded to glorify God in our body as well as our spirits, and people tend to forget that.
Oftentimes people will hear the term spirituality as an element of a book, and they might say to themselves, you know what, I really don't want to get involved with somebody's thoughts about their religion. But that's not really what you're doing here?
No, it's more of a belief. It's using, yes, biblical principles, but it's trying to encourage people to improve their faith or increase their faith. For example, we know that people who are depressed tend to have more heart attacks. We know people who are depressed following a heart attack don't live as long. But one of the major factors of whether or not they're depressed is their faith, is their beliefs. So there's a commonality there. Look at the success with the AA programs, with the 12 steps. Unless they have a spiritual dimension to their attempts to break the alcohol problem, they're not going to do it. It's the same thing with fitness.
In your book, you talk about the fact that you've got a chronological age, but you can calculate your real age in another fashion. How do you go about doing that?
Well, that's true. We look at 5 different things. We look at strength and flexibility and endurance. We look at your personal family history, and we look at your family medical history of what we're talking about. And from that, you can classify or you can determine your physiological age. For example, I'm almost 65, but I'm physiologically some 48, 49 years of age. Good news and bad news. That means I've got to go 16 years before I can think about retiring.
In the book, one of the things you do, and one of the chapters you talk about countering the false beliefs about fitness, and you list a number of these false beliefs. Let me toss out a couple to you and tell us why you think it's false and what the reality is. One is it's dangerous to exercise after age 40.
That was what I was taught in medical school back in the 50s, that once you pass 40, you got a foot in the grave. You can't exercise vigorously. And now we have many examples. For example, Ian Coghlan, at 41 years of age, runs a sub-4-minute mile. I've got examples now. Johnny Kelly finished his 60th Boston Marathon, age 83. I just evaluated a woman the other day who's finishing her 100th ultra marathon, and she's 73 years of age. No, this whole section in that book is talking about the myths of aging, and we're able to show not only can you slow down, in many cases you can reverse some of the factors of aging. Our bodies were designed to last us 120 years biblically. The reason that they don't, I'm convinced, is not because of design deficiencies, it's the way that we treat our bodies. Paul D. White once said, it's fascinating to know that one can grow healthier as one grows older, not necessarily reverse. If you want to slow down the aging process, 3 things in this order must be eliminated. Number 1, cigarette smoking. Number 2, inactivity. And number 3 is obesity.
One of the other things that most people tend to think is as you get past the age of 40, you lose that muscle mass in your body, but you say that's not necessarily so.
Oh, to the contrary. A study was done not long ago, and some 9 people worked for 8 weeks to develop the quadricep muscles. That's the muscles from the knee up to the groin. And they found in a period of 8 weeks they could increase the strength of that muscle by 176%, increase the size of muscle mass by 9%, even though their average age was 90.6 years. You're never too old to see improvements in your fitness, and that's the point I'm trying to make in this book.
What about the idea of running? We've seen running, a running boom in the last generation, probably safe to say, and there's often that debate over, can you run too much for your own good?
Jack, for over 35 years at our aerobic center in Dallas, I've been trying to answer that question. How much is enough? How much is too much? And you may recall back in 1989, we published a famous article that showed that if you just walk 2 miles in 30 minutes 3 times a week, you can reduce deaths from heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, and deaths from cancer by 50%. 55%. But also, as I point out in this book, in my previous book, The Antioxidant Revolution, if you exercise too much, it might backfire on you. What's too much? Over 30 miles a week of running, over 5 hours a week of high-intensity exercise. But we now have proven some new data, some exciting new data that shows you can negate those harmful effects if you take adequate intake of vitamin C and vitamin D, and even beta-carotene if you're a non-smoker. That's an exciting new subject.
Well, the book is entitled It's Better to Believe, some interesting approaches to your health, especially as all of us get a little bit older. Dr. Kenneth Cooper, thanks so much for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you.
Great. We'll have more in a moment, but first, this is Today on NBC.